everybody, and welcome back to another episode of First and Last. My name is Josh, and with me this week we have Joe.
Hey, man.
And Jimmy.
Hey, oregano. I don't know.
Oh, wow.
I was trying
We're
to
not watching The Sopranos
last
this week.
Last minute, I tried to do something spaghetti,
Oh, I get it.
Spaghetti-ish.
something pasta-ish.
Oregano?
I don't know. That was the first thing. That's what came out of my mouth.
Mm.
I wasn't ready.
Hey, herbs.
Before we get to the actual pod, I have a TV announcement. I finally got around to
Finishing Frasier?
You have one?
finishing something.
Oh,
I finished Doug.
Nice.
I watched all of Doug.
Man, how long was that? How long ago was that episode?
I think it was around Halloween or so, and I watched
Oh, really?
all, I think, 5 seasons of Doug, and man, it is just like,
It was way before Halloween because we did Spooky Month.
no, yeah. So maybe September or so?
It
I
took
don't know.
you like 4 months to watch
Watch
like
all of
3
Doug.
seasons of Doug.
Yeah, it's half-an-hour episodes. It was great.
so what's
Nice.
your overall Doug impressions?
My Doug impression is that it's just like pure distilled, like 110 proof nostalgia.
Mm.
Like
Okay.
because I've seen Doug before, so I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember these characters.
That's-
I remember Skeeter.
That's 55% nostalgia right there.
Higher than that.
If it's a
300 proof.
Ooh. That's
It's
I
bursting
can't.
at the
That's
seams.
it's a literal impossible amount of percent.
Yeah.
150%.
But it's like, it's nostalgic because it's like, oh yeah, I remember Doug the TV show. But then it's also like, oh yeah, I remember being 11. That seems accurate. Like, just that
Yeah.
Doug has anxiety about everything.
Mm.
But then I also realized that there's things from Doug
Holds
that
up.
seeped into my subconscious that watching it this time around, I was like, oh, that was from Doug. Like I have a specific memory of like being a kid, maybe like 8 years old or something, and like running out to like recess with my buddy, who was like kind of bigger,
Like fat or tall?
like fat. I guess.
Okay.
Wow.
Hey, there. Like I'm kind of bigger, but I'm not fat. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And like I have a specific
boned
memory
Person of fatness, please, Josh.
of like not even in like a mean way. Like I don't know if we were racing or if he just got in my way, but I remember saying, "Move it, fatso."
Oh,
And like that's like a mean thing to say to a kid.
that is a mean thing to
And
say.
like I remember like getting in trouble for that, and like me just being like, why would I ever say that to like this dude who's my friend? And I wasn't even like trying to be mean. Like we were just like,
and it wasn't
kidding
like
around.
playful ribbing,
Yeah.
really.
But then I was watching Doug, and there's like a scene where Mr. Dink has these shoes that are supposed to like help him stay in shape, and the way that they keep him in shape is they like just yell like insults at him. And one of the things they yell over and over again is just, "Move it, fatso! Move it, fatso! Move it, fatso!"
Oh man.
So that just like went into my 8-year-old subconscious.
So Doug
Yeah.
taught you how to be a bully.
and then yeah,
Yeah.
I became the Roger Klotz of my school. It was rough.
Got a leather jacket and everything.
Yeah. Nose got real pointy.
Started smoking cigarettes.
I got a cat.
Did you?
So that's it. I'll never watch Frasier.
Oh man.
Or I'll never finish
Come
Frasier
on.
at least.
But he will watch Frasier Christmas episodes
On
during
DVD.
during the time that needed to happen.
Yeah.
All right. Well, what's this podcast about, Joe?
We take a TV show and we don't watch all of it over 4 months. We watch just the first and last, episode over a night,
Yep.
Yeah.
One night.
just one night.
All night long.
And then we move on to another
all
show the next
night.
week. We just keep them rolling.
And you're also in charge of the show this week, Joe.
Oh yeah.
This is just a Joe show.
Joe show.
What show did you pick
Um,
that you haven't told me or Jimmy about yet?
2 weeks ago we did The Sopranos because
Mhm.
you know our time with HBO Plus or whatever is rolling up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I forgot about it already.
Yeah.
Right.
So I figured I'd pick, one last HBO show. I was looking through the list
Nice.
and like, there's a lot of shows that are big that we haven't done that like maybe we'll get to eventually. But there was only one that I was like, yeah, I'd like to see the beginning and end of that. So that one is Veep.
Nice.
Is
Okay.
that
Good call.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus?
Uh huh.
Yeah.
Is
And
Buster?
Buster Bluth.
Is Buster in that?
Yeah, she's
Whose
the
name I should
titular Veep.
So is Veep? Ooh, my drink. my drink bounced out of the cup. And you don't want that. You want it to bounce into your mouth, or stay in the cup.
Why is it so bouncy?
I don't know.
It's liquid.
Is the Veep about the vice president, or is it something completely different that I don't know?
I think so. I think Julia Louis-Dreyfus is the Veep.
Okay. Who's the prez?
I don't know.
Who's POTUS?
Probably
Robert Redford?
Martin Sheen.
Donald Trump as himself.
Oh.
If I turn this
it
on
hurt me.
and
It
Donald
hurt
Trump
me.
is president in the show and in real life,
Yeah, I'm just turning it off, starting over.
I might kill everyone in this room.
It's a massacre. No.
Yeah, that's
I kind of
fair.
have a theory. It ran for 7 seasons.
Oh, wow.
I kind of have a theory that she starts out as Veep and then somehow becomes president, whether like just
Okay.
removal or she gets elected. And
Somewhere in there it becomes a real house of cards, if you will.
yeah, and then somewhere in there, I think she like is out of office, like either gets removed or voted out.
Mm.
I think they go through all 3 phases. within the
I could,
show.
I could see it starting with her being like a senator,
Uh-huh.
and then like she actually like the president gets elected, and or it's like we find out that she's been selected to be the vice president
Sure.
in the first episode. Like
Mm.
either
I
it's
like that.
election day and her president gets elected, or it's like I'm gonna run and you're gonna be my Veep.
Yeah.
I could see that. But who's Buster in this show? He's not the president. That is
I
a
assume
very
he's just-
unbelievable character.
He's just like assistant to the regional.
Yeah, I
vice
assume
president.
he just works in the vice president's office.
Tony
or
Hale's like
campaign
Yeah.
like
manager
some
or
sort of
something.
aide or a camp.
Hale. That's, yeah, he's basically just Buster though. From what
He's always gonna be Buster.
he's just always gonna be Buster.
He was in some other show. I like envision a
Arrested Development.
no a computer. Yeah, what's that called? No, it's God. It was keyboard control. Was that what it was called?
Keyboard control?
You
No,
made
no,
that
just
up.
control.
Oh.
I think it might be called Control. I think he was in a show called
Hackers
Control.
starring Angelina Jolie.
I wish he was a young Tony Hale was in Hackers.
Angelina Jolie was in that.
She's like the main
She's the girl.
gal.
She's the hacker.
She's a acid burn.
I believe so.
I believe that is her call sign.
Cool.
Yeah.
Is it all like lowercase, uppercase, lowercase, uppercase?
There's some X's at
Can
the
I-
front and end.
Can I ask a question that's gonna probably just make me like people are gonna be like, dummy, why don't you know this?
Yeah.
Um,
I'm more interested now.
what's that about?
What?
Like when online, I
case?
said on Reddit and
Cases?
stuff like, and it seems like it's just like when people are like trying to make fun of people or kind of whatever. But when you spell out like a sentence or a word and it's uppercase, lowercase, like
Oh yeah,
every
yeah.
other.
Where it's like you're like mocking someone and be like, "Hey, what's this thing about?" And then you're like, "Oh, what's this thing about?"
And then it's like up and down. Is that all it is?
And like the SpongeBob guy.
Yeah. Is that all that is? Because that's what I thought it was. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to know if there's some like
kind
deeper
of Looney Tunes.
trolly like internet meeting. It's one of those things where I'm like, I don't really know what this is, and I think if I spend the time to look it up, it's only going to be disappointing.
It's how Goofy talks from the Mickey Mouse crew.
That's how they wrote it in. Huh.
Cool. So Veep, huh?
I can't. Okay, I'm still looking up.
Look up
Tony
Tony
Hale
Hale.
was in some show called Control. I swear it, and I can't find it. So.
Cool. You guys ever been Veep or something?
No.
Just making conversation.
No, I went straight to the top.
President or nothing.
Chair or nothing.
Ha! Go. Fuck both of you.
Wow.
2009 Control CTRL. An office loner discovers he can manipulate the reality of his office from a magical computer, starring Tony Hale as Stuart Grundy.
Stu Gruns.
Also, Richard Karn, Al from Home Improvement is in
Yeah,
this
Al
show.
Borland.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The Richard Karn.
Of Family Feud fame.
Yeah.
That's not true. He was only on it for a couple of years and they gave him the boot.
Well, he was too good for that show. He's too good for
Who
us.
was in between? Was it like Dana Carvey? Or not Dana Carvey. Drew Carey or someone?
I was like,
Or someone in between.
Louis something.
Louis Anderson?
Louis Anderson. Yeah.
I'm Louis Anderson.
Well,
Minnesota fame.
so you think that it's like election day, or
I think it's something like that. I don't. Maybe it's election. I'm kind of like dipping in both things, but I think like she either becomes vice president in the first episode or is asked to be the person's running mate.
Yeah. Do you think there's like serious stuff like West Wing, like there's like a crisis, or do you think it's like just silly?
I thought this show was. Not having seen any of it, I would have assumed that this show was 65% serious, 35% funny.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's like super I don't think it's West Wing serious.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and I think somebody like Tony Hale is gonna be like comedic like value.
Yeah.
But other people are going to just be serious.
I'm kind of picturing it like
a Marvel movie, you know?
Yeah,
Shit's serious. But sometimes Ant-Man's there.
I'm thinking way sillier. I'm thinking it's like Parks and Rec, where it's just kind of making fun of like local government. I think that this is like equally making fun of just like how useless the vice presidency is.
Oh, I was gonna say, do you think she's the Veep, but of like Arkansas? Like she's the.
I think it's the United States Veep, but it's just like worthless.
Sure.
I bet she goes to like a library naming or something.
Cuts a ribbon at a Burger King.
Yeah.
But a Burger King that helps people read or something. Where's our burritos? Did you get them, Jimmy?
Yeah, they're on the table.
Oh, okay.
All right, cool.
Well, hey,
What are we, animals?
What are you doing? Put it in my mouth.
Yeah, why aren't you just feeding me and Jimmy burritos?
All right, I'm gonna go.
Feed
again.
me on
I'm gonna
mic.
leave. I came back and it was a mistake.
Yeah, you're right. It was. Well, let's just get into this first episode. I think we got a solid plan on how this episode should go. So let's find out how we're wrong.
I've
Watch
already
it.
stopped listening to you.
We'll get back. And we'll see you after that. It's burrito time. And we're back. We finished the first episode of Veep. I think it's called Fundraiser.
Yep. Fundraisers.
Thank you, HBO, for knowing that you were going to make this show.
Mm-hmm.
Like you knew you were going to make The Sopranos, but you still named it Pilot anyway. But
That's
this
what they do.
episode has a name. Good job. Good job. Jimmy, you got to write it for us?
Yeah, I do. But I feel like I don't think the network decides if it's going to be called Pilot or not. I think if they use the pilot, then that's just what it's called. Maybe Veep had a pilot. They just didn't use it.
Multiple people are to blame.
right.
We'll go with that.
Determined by the TV gods.
Yeah.
Bryan Cranston.
Yeah. Yeah. I was waiting like, who are the TV guys?
Oprah.
Bryan Cranston, Oprah, Jerry Seinfeld, and Donald Trump probably.
Also Jerry Springer. It's probably in there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's at least a demigod, if anything.
Do you think shoot. Well, who's the back to Family Feud? Who's the Family Feud guy now?
Steve Harvey.
Do you think Steve Harvey's one? Or he's like on the rise.
Yeah, he's in
He's
the
the
pantheon,
god.
for sure.
If he's a god of TV, he's the god of mischief.
Yeah.
Considering he
He's got
like
tricks.
fucks up on TV all the time.
He does? Like on Family Feud?
Didn't he misread like the winner of like a Miss America pageant or something?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so like some poor girl like celebrated like she was winning for far too long.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and it wasn't the right
No.
girl.
No, yeah.
Classic.
I think he's like done another.
I thought it was like the
similar
way
mess
that
up,
John
too.
Travolta said like Idina Menzel, whatever he said. He didn't know Idina Menzel's name.
Oh,
Oh God.
got it. Yeah,
Remember
probably.
that? Good
You see
times.
Well, he gets
Remember
a
that?
pass. He's a Scientologist.
Remember Moonlight?
Is he still? Remember Phenomenon? Did you ever see that movie? Okay, Fundraiser. Vice President Selena Meyer and her staff are still finding their footing in Washington, D.C. Selena decides to make the Clean Jobs Commission a pet project, but a series of missteps require her staff to work damage control. Her staff is Chief of Staff Amy, spokesperson Mike, right-hand man Gary, and executive assistant Sue.
Cool. So yeah, we're
Yeah.
given just like this is essentially just a day of
Yeah, I think so.
I keep saying
mishaps.
Selena Kyle, but it's not Selena Kyle.
She's not Catwoman.
Selena Meyer.
Sabrina, the teenage witch.
Selena Meyer and her team of assistants kind of just working through a day of being vice president, which includes trying to push through some initiatives, trying to like work senators, and then going to a fundraiser, and a bunch of shit goes wrong along the way.
Yep.
She's trying to push like anti-plastic stuff with one of the senator at the beginning.
Yeah, they're pushing what's it?
And she's like, no.
What are the utensils made out of?
Cornstarch or
Cornstarch utensils. Yeah.
Yeah. Some compostables.
But they like melt in like tea or whatever.
Oh yeah, that was what. So that's the utensil she's trying to like make people use, and it doesn't. And she like hates it.
Yeah. Well, and like there's like a staffer that like tweeted something about it, and then now like the plastics and like the oil, like companies are like mad at Selena.
Oh yeah.
Because I guess plastics and oil are tied together. So.
Oh well,
Plastics made out of oil.
Plastics are made out of oil, so
oily plastics.
Yeah.
I mean, just regular plastics.
I don't know, man. You make everything out of oil.
Yeah, I mean, exactly.
I'm like 98% oil. My burrito or my enchilada was like 30% oil.
Yeah.
So, big ups to the oil companies.
Oh man.
Thanks for the burrito.
We try and get that oil money on this podcast.
Yeah. What are we just sponsored by Exxon?
Welcome to First and Last. We're sponsored by Big Oil.
No one would listen to this.
Drive a Hummer.
Sign up for BP and get your like first week of gas free
BP rewards
with the code First and Last.
Get our gas card and you get free gallon of gas. All you got, you know where you want to put that gas? Anywhere. Put it in the ground.
Yeah, just run your lawnmower right now.
Light it.
It smells good.
Start it up.
On an
with
actual
the garage door down.
Yeah.
On an actual side,
Breathe
I think
it in.
yesterday somewhere I heard, true or not true, I don't know, but it's probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Of like true and not true. Is that
Like this podcast.
a gasoline powered leaf blower is like the most inefficient like gas using thing there is, and it like basically just all it does is just burns gas and throws it into the atmosphere. Like based on how much gas it puts in and what it puts out, it's like horrible for like don't.
That sounds about right.
Just use a rake, you lazy
rake.
bastards.
Well, I was going to say, like, I've used, like, an electric leaf blower, and even with that, I'm just like, this is really loud for what it's doing.
Yeah.
For the amount that I'm actually getting done, this is really loud and, like, heavy.
Like, what's the point of this?
Yeah.
I wish I had a rake.
Electric things are supposed to be quiet. I thought that was part of the charm.
Well, but that electric thing's whole job is just to go,
Yeah,
and
just
like
blow shit away.
So.
It sucks.
Fast
I'll blow a
fast
couple
air
leaves
is
for you.
loud.
Yeah.
Fast air is loud. You heard it here first on the Big Oil Podcast.
Yeah.
Oh,
Vroom,
no.
vroom, vroom.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We're turbocharged with how much oil we've got.
Oh man.
They're all just covered in oil right now, just slicked up.
Just call me a bird on the beach because I'm covered in oil.
Oh god. What is happening?
So yeah, they meet with the senator, but while they're doing that, they meet some dude named Dan, who's like the
Dan
senator.
works for the senator.
He's working for the senator, but then he is like a schemy bitch, and he like moves over to Selena, the Veep's like office.
Yeah.
Just kind of like wiggles his way in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then
Selena
that's like the
used some
handsome
bad
guy, right?
language.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, got it.
Tall, handsome man.
Yeah.
He's
He's not tall, is he?
I mean, I don't know how tall like Mike is, who's her head of communications, Selena's head of communications. I don't know how tall that guy is.
Okay.
He's taller than all the women, but I don't know.
But there's like a really tall guy, and that's the guy that works at the White House.
Super tall.
That Jonah guy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jonah's like seems to be like the liaison between the two
Between
offices.
the White House and
POTUS and Veep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So not that guy. Okay. Got it.
And he's taken
I
Amy
got the
out
guys-
on a date.
Got the guys all straight in my head.
Okay. Now do you want to get straight with the ladies?
I mean, there's like one lady.
Well,
Amy.
there's Amy, which is she's like I don't know one of her aides.
Yeah.
There's obviously Selena, who is the Veep, played by Julia. And then there's Sue, who's her like secretary. She was the black lady.
Okay. Yeah. I
She was the
remember
the person who is black and is also a person.
that. And a lady.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Thank you, Claire.
Wherever you are.
And then and then there was
miss
Senator Hollis or whatever. But I don't know how much she's probably just a side character randomly in the show.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, those are those things.
Yeah, so the like plots, kind of subplots, is that so she goes to this fundraiser, thus the title,
Mm-hmm.
and the president has told her she can't basically talk about her initiative at all, which was her entire speech. So she's just winging it and does a terrible job.
Yeah.
Which I feel like if you're gonna be a politician, especially if she ran for president.
Yeah.
So her whole thing too is that you see in the opening credits she like ran for president and then had to back out and then is now proud in quotations to be the vice president.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dan later tells her what she should have done in her
failed
candidacy.
campaign, yeah.
I mean,
and then-
you say she should be good at like public speaking, but have you heard anything on like anybody talk in like some sort of I don't know, impeachment hearing as of late? They're all awful. They're all dumb.
There's
and-
one or two.
I mean, some of
points
them are well
jabbed in there.
spoken, but some of the people are talking. You're like, dude, stop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
So yeah,
a long
she's supposed to give this
day.
speech about the Clean Jobs Initiative, but everything's crossed out because she can't talk about cornstarch.
Yeah.
She can't talk about plastics.
Redacted.
And like the senator that they were gonna reference died the other day. So like there's big notes in this.
Redacted.
Oh,
Dead.
And he was like a
Like talk
some
about
sort
this
of sex offender
Yeah.
guy that everyone was like, yeah, that guy was a pervy sexy dude.
Yeah.
And
Rapey Reeves, they called him.
oh
Yep.
god, yeah. So they didn't like him, and then they were signing a card like, oh,
For
when
his
when a
wife.
sex offender dies, we sign a card for his wife.
Yeah.
That's Washington. And then Amy's supposed to sign it for the Veep, and she signs her own name. And so then
Yeah.
Buster or Gary, the like aide, has to go and get it.
What did she sign? If she just signed Amy, or like something, why don't the
Just leave
Veep
it?
just sign also?
Yeah.
And then the person's gonna get a card and go, I don't know, who Amy is like whatever.
Yeah. Just
What
leave
was
it.
the big
Well,
deal?
I think the deal was that like it was like the president, some like other big person, some like other senators.
Oh, so
the
there's
Veep.
like literally
It
no
was
like
very
aides on
specific
there.
people
Yeah.
on
It
this
was-
card.
I mean, the worst case that happens is the Veep signs it also,
Uh-huh.
and Amy had signed it.
Uh-huh.
Then all you say is,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, my aide signed it like by accident." But like,
Also,
what's
they
the big
don't
deal?
have-
Somebody else wishes you well. Oh, sorry.
And then it was this whole thing that the president then had already signed it, so like they couldn't start a new card. But do they not have whiteout in Washington D.C.?
They made it sound like you were not allowed to forge the president's signature.
Yeah, you're not.
Which then Dan swoops in and does,
and then does that.
gets himself a job for the vice president.
Good for him. Yeah, there's a lot of like this is a very chatty show. A lot
Yeah.
of talking.
Mhm.
It's 95% just we're gonna talk really fast.
And very little walk-in talking.
You know, they need to sit or stand and think about what they're talking
Yeah.
about. They can't be thinking about
A
walking
lot of
and talking.
camera movement.
All in all, I liked it.
It was kind of hard to keep track of. There's a lot of just like, especially because they all just work for the vice president, and they don't have like really defined jobs. It's just sort of like they all just support Selena.
Yeah, I had a problem with that with like
Mhm.
Amy and Mike and now Dan and like Sue. I mean, I was like, Sue must be her secretary just because her office is like touching her door essentially.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, her
She's
desk
her
was
Peggy
right
to
outside the door.
her Don Draper.
Sure.
But then
Sure.
everyone else is like, does everyone else just have the same job or like is everyone
Mm.
just helping?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was hard to. It
That
was,
probably becomes more defined, I feel like.
we probably could have waited to introduce some characters in like the next couple episodes.
Sure.
I didn't need this many characters.
I've like
right
heard a
away.
lot of good things about this show, but this pilot didn't really like grab me like I thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. You don't really, like, I'm sure, like, who are you rooting for in this? Like,
yeah.
Selena's not really a good person, you know? I feel like after watching the pilot, I don't she's not like the heroine, you know?
Uh-huh.
Well, she hasn't done anything like overtly bad or anything. She's trying to apparently take down like big plastic or something like, or like change it to something. But
Is she,
for
though?
like cornstarch, right? Who knows? You know,
Yeah.
I don't know how like valorous her like decision is, whether or not it's like
Just something to do.
But like so many people, like all the people that get lobby money or something, seem to be not cool with what she's doing.
Yeah.
True.
I get the impression that like everybody from like Selena on down is just like, this is my job, whether it be the vice president or just like an aide. And like, I'm just trying to just do my job and not screw it up. Like, I'm supposed to push this initiative, so I'm just going to get that through and like just smile and give a speech, and hopefully nothing goes wrong.
Well, and it seems like her as a Veep, like as a president, the president doesn't seem like he's like super into this no plastic thing or whatever.
Yeah.
So it seems
Get that oil
seems
money.
weird for a president.
You
and
think
a
they're
Veep to be-
Republican?
I don't know. They didn't really say.
No, because I don't think a Republican would ever say bad things about plastics or oil.
But that's the thing. They didn't.
You think you could
They
eat?
told her not to.
You think you could eat the cornstarch fork or whatever?
Mm.
You think it just like tastes like
You probably
a
chew
chip,
on a little bit.
like
It
a
tastes
really
like
hard
nothing.
tortilla chip?
Just a chip, maybe.
It's probably more. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it tastes like anything.
Probably tastes terrible. Is what it tastes like.
Tastes like plastic.
Yeah, it probably tastes like plastic. Yeah, I could have went without some of the. I like Tony Hale. He is funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not as mega. He's not. He was like half Buster. You know.
Yeah.
Not quite, but he still got a little.
He had some Buster moments.
I mean, he put on like that coat to go over.
Yeah, that was pretty Buster-esque. She put on Sue's coat to go get the card back from Jonah.
I feel like I'm more intrigued by the premise of just like wacky things in a Veep office and the style of just like it seems very improvised and like just like naturally shot. I feel like I'm more interested in that aspect of the show than like what the show actually showed me of like jokes or plot. Like just the idea of it just seems like, okay, this seems like it could be funny even if the first episode didn't seem that funny.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It went 7
Good
seasons,
parts.
so
Yeah.
must have been all right.
I mean, it didn't make me not want to watch the second episode.
Sure.
So that's where I'm at right now. Like if this is a different thing we were doing and the Hulu immediately started the second episode and was only 30 minutes again, I'd be like, yeah, we could watch that.
Yeah.
So
Let's do it. Let's just blow up this whole podcast.
well, Big Oil demands we watch episode 2.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Predictions?
Oh, yeah. Word.
Did you write them?
I did. Should I go?
Yeah.
I'll go.
Go for it.
Prove us that you wrote them.
So I said this in like the first part, but I just wanted to make it like an official prediction that I think Selena's Veep right now. She at some point becomes president, and then by the end here is no longer president. So just to sum that up, I wrote Selena is a former president.
Okay.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus was on Seinfeld, so I think that she pulls some Seinfeld connections, and there's
I think Kramer's on the show.
I didn't say specifically, but I just said there's a Seinfeld actor cameo. So an actor that was on Seinfeld. I
I
have
hope it's Jason Alexander.
I hope
Yeah.
it's Putty.
I hope he
couldn't-
sings something.
I couldn't pick just one. I have there's at least one punch. I think someone gets punched. It's a punchy show. And then in this first episode, there was a joke about after like the speech goes wrong, they're like strategizing on what they should do, and the one guy's like, well, like let's just like wait and see what happens because who knows, maybe the news cycle changes. He's like, what if Tom Hanks dies?
Oh
And
yeah,
like it's an awful thing to say.
that was Mike, the
Yeah.
plausible deniability
They had a
guy.
lot of-
He
they-
didn't want to know
They
anything.
spent like 3 minutes be like, why Tom Hanks? Why'd you pick Tom Hanks?
Yeah, you monster.
Yeah. So I have Tom Hanks is dead.
That's
My final prediction.
awesome.
Well, that's too bad. I bet Tom. I'm not a prediction, but now I bet Tom Hanks is in this last episode.
Being
I bet
alive.
Tom Hanks dies during this next segment of our podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez, man,
Wow.
come on.
Stay tuned.
You're gonna feel really bad if Tom Hanks is dead by the time this comes out.
Or if anyone
He's lived a
dies.
good life. I don't know.
If anyone dies, it's on you now.
If anyone dies,
Anyone dies.
in the next like 30 to 40 minutes, I don't know how long this one is.
Anyone dies.
So many people are gonna die.
You killed them.
I feel like I didn't.
My predictions are: I think Amy and Dan are kissing.
They be kissing.
I think they be kissing.
Weird.
Yuck.
I think they have passion because I think they hate each other, and that will turn into sex.
I don't think we're gonna see Dan.
Maybe not, but that's for me to risk.
All right.
I think Gary, or Tony Hale's character, wears a costume in this last episode.
All right.
Think
Like he's like it's Easter and he's the Easter bunny.
like in this episode, he put on a coat to like whatever. He wasn't wearing a costume, so I think he goes a little bit overboard where he tries to like disguise himself in some way. I wouldn't say what he did in this episode counts as a costume. He was just trying to he just tried to wear something
He's
to
trying
hide.
to stay warm.
Yeah. So I think he wears a costume. I think we never see the POTUS in the show.
Oh, like that.
I think in the show we never see it.
Okay.
That POTUS, him or her, because we even know the president's a man in this
Yeah,
show.
because she was
Right.
making jokes about that.
Mr. President. Either way, we never see the POTUS at all. And then I think Selena does not become president.
Wow.
So unlike Joe thinks she becomes it and is former, I just think she's never president. And the ending is her moving on or doing something, not moving on to become president, but going in a different direction.
Well, I think Selena is the president.
I like that we're all in different presidential scenarios, though.
Yeah.
That's good.
Cool.
What else do you think, Jimmy?
I also think I think Amy and Jonah are a thing.
Oh, so
I think Amy fights it. There's probably a will they won't they, and she like fights that she actually likes him and that he's actually ends up being a good guy.
Oh, we didn't say this before, but me and Joe talked about it.
Oh,
Like while the show was on, but Jonah gave me like real big Paul Scheer vibes.
sure. I think Jonah's a little more tall and handsome.
I didn't say he looks like Paul Scheer. I just said he like acts like Paul Scheer.
I feel like I see him
Yeah.
and I can only see Paul Scheer.
He maybe has Paul Scheer teeth,
Yeah.
Maybe.
but nothing else about him really looks like Paul Scheer besides his acting.
But you thought like his character was like a Paul Scheer character.
I feel like they wanted Paul Scheer for this role, and they got whoever Jonah is.
See, but I feel like the way I feel about like Jonah and this whole Jonah Amy thing is that it's going to become like a Jim Pam. And I don't think you do that with Paul Scheer. If you're trying to, you're doing a bad job.
Well, see, and that's why I think Amy goes with Dan, and then you can have Paul Scheer be Jonah.
Yeah.
I've really railroaded your predictions.
See, but I feel like Dan, his like douchiness, like trying to get to the top, is gonna bite him in the ass, and he's gonna end up not in Washington for very long.
Maybe Amy's gonna bite him in the ass. If you know what I mean? They're into some weird stuff, those two.
Okay. Weird butt biting stuff. I'm just gonna move on. I think Selena's the prez, but I think there's like a member of the opposite party on her cabinet, which would basically just be like a West Wing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think maybe that there's needs to be some Aaron Sorkin paved the way. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
And the Secretary of the Treasury is going to be a son of anarchy. That's what Jimmy thinks.
I hope there's some bikers in this finale. And then I think Tony Hale is a elected like member of Congress.
Okay.
He's so silly.
Congressman
He
Gary.
is a cartoon, and most active members of our political system are. Do you disagree?
No comment.
I said most, not all.
Is there a debate on tonight? I think there is.
I don't know. That's neither here nor there. Let's watch the final episode of Veep, season 7 something. Season 7, episode 999.
I think it's called Veep, actually. I looked it up the other day.
I could see that happening. I like the name. So let's get into that, and we will see you after the finale of Veep.
And we back.
Back again.
Backstreet's back.
FNL is back to get it good. Is that it? We finished the finale of Veep. We did it. It was a long one.
Mm-hmm.
Was it? How long was that?
Full 46 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh,
And the first episode was like, what, 28?
Yeah.
Something like that. So pretty long episode. You got a write-up for us, Jim?
Yeah.
What happened?
This is episode number 65, season 7, the finale of Veep, called Veep. When Tom re-enters the race, played by Hugh Laurie, Selena takes extreme measures to return power again, which include cutting a deal with Governor Calhoun to outlaw gay marriage, offering Jonah the vice presidency, and sacrificing Gary to the FBI. Oh, I didn't understand that that's what was happening.
I know you.
I thought she was just firing him.
No, the FBI came and took him.
Yeah. Huh. 24 hours later, during her funeral, 24 years later, that makes more sense. During her funeral, the death of Tom Hanks pushes Selena out of the news cycle. Yeah, so spoiler, she became president.
She did.
Again.
I mean, without getting into the weeds of just essentially the clusterfuck, which was just this episode.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because it was just basically Selena just trying to make deal after deal after deal to just become president no matter what.
Literally at whatever cost.
Yeah, I had read a little background. So she was Veep when it started, and then at some point ascended to the presidency because the president resigned, and then lost the election. And then so this, in the final episode, we're dropping in on the nominating convention in 2020 when she's deciding to run for president again. And there's a brokered convention because none of the candidates for that party had won a majority. So now they're just trying to run some like backroom deals on like trying to shore up all the, what are they called? Delegates?
Delegates,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Huh.
So yeah, so there's a bunch of rivals, and she's just like pulling shit to whatever she can to try to get delegates, like literally just like offering up, like trying to ban gay marriage.
Yeah. Which her daughter is a lesbian.
Yeah, to try to pull in some conservative votes to taking Jonah, who was he was the guy that was working for the president in the first episode.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is like a rival, and she offers him the like vice president position, and even Jonah's campaign manager is like, don't do this, he's terrible.
Yeah, which is Amy. Yeah, he's become like a right-wing nut who looks like he's dressing like he's Amish or something.
he's got suspenders, just suspenders. He could be in Mumford and Sons.
He looks like he looks like he shoots porn on the side.
He also seems like he's
like.
Very racist.
I feel like most of these people seemed like
everybody
they were
in
pretty
the show.
racist.
Everyone in the show's a monster.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like the biggest thing there was a couple things that was like said during this episode.
They offended Josh? That is bad.
No, nothing offended me.
Wait till Claire hears this.
Spoke to Josh.
Nothing offended me. It just made me made me not want to watch this episode. Made me not want to watch this show.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. Okay.
And I have like essentially 3 reasons why.
Uh-huh.
And let's go over them one by one.
Okay.
Number 1, there was a lot of random, just like dirty exposition.
Yeah.
Like they just kept like turning to one dude and he was like, I'll suck like 45 cocks because cocks are great and I love cocks and I'm gay and cocks. And it was like, what's the point of you?
Yeah.
It's not that it was like, It was just like, what's the point of this?
Not
like,
sure what the development of that character
what
was.
are you? Who are you, and what are you adding to this show besides just like essentially being? It's like Joe doesn't like random sex in his shows because like, what is it adding? It's like, what is like, and that wasn't just him. There was other people just like,
everybody had a line like that.
Yeah, everybody did. He was
Selena
like,
had lines like that.
I'll fuck a peanut butter and jelly sandwich if you
Selena
get me
says
your
a lot
asshole.
Selena said a lot of things that made my jaw drop in this
Yeah,
show.
they all went off on like 2 to 3 sentence like tirades of something that was just crazy and it had meant nothing. And I was just like,
very crude.
the only thing I could go is, are you just trying to prove that everyone's awful?
Okay.
But like over and over and over again, like
Okay.
it was like too much.
So number one, it seems like it was trying too hard with the crudeness.
Yeah,
Okay.
trying too hard.
Okay.
Number 2, it kind of wraps into number 1, but like number 2, I was like, is the point of this show just to show how awful politics is? Like everybody involved is a piece of shit. Like that's the point of the show.
So number
Like,
2 seems like it's trying a little too hard with just people being awful.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if
just a
anyone really
question.
like thinks about, maybe if you ask like maybe the layman,
Yep.
like us, for
Yep.
instance, and you're like, what do you think of like the quality of the human being that's in like political offices? And it's like if you take most people probably say like, either like from, I think they try, or like they just don't care and it's for personal gain. But
Yep.
more people are probably on that right side of like they want power and they'll hold it, and they're not really doing stuff for their constituents. They're just trying to stay in office. I feel like that's what this show was trying to say, maybe, but
Sure.
like just times 100,
Okay.
1,000,
Uh,
a million butt plugs. I don't know.
I have a follow-up theory once I hear all 3 of your
Okay.
reasons.
And my third reason is, I think technically this is a good political show with maybe like kind of like people are shitty and politics is shitty, and that's kind of the thing it is. But just based on the political climate and how America is right now, this is not a good show to watch right now.
Okay.
Oh, sure.
Like, this just makes me sad about America.
Yeah. And I think that was going to be my overarching theory that ties into your 1 and 2 is that, so number 1, you're saying it seems like it's pushing too hard the idea that these politicians are pretty crude behind the scenes. And
Right.
then number 2, pushing a little too hard that these politicians and people who work in politics are really just awful people behind the scenes. But like, is it that with just the reality that we live in, these things are just laid bare in reality? Like, these awful things are just tweeted, right?
Yeah.
Such that when you see it in a TV show now, you're just like, well, yeah, sure. I mean, yeah.
You're right.
Like, you don't really get the joke because it's just like, it's not satirical anymore. If it's just like, this is what it is. And maybe this is the way it's always been, but like, because of the internet and certain other things, like, it's just so apparent now to everybody that it's just like, you watch this show and you're just like, it doesn't seem silly anymore. It's just like, I mean,
it's
Yeah,
terrible.
maybe in 2007 or whenever this started, like this was a really like, oh wow.
Yeah, like you don't think, oh, like a politician's not going to get on TV or get on Twitter and say
something horrible.
say something exactly what they said, because obviously they would just be gone right away. But it's like they'll say something akin to a lot of these things, like with a veil of civility, and then there's no thought that they wouldn't say some of these things just to whoever they're in a room with. And like, everyone's crass to their close friends, but it seems like these, like, it's a little too rough.
Yeah,
they're like,
it's I mean, that's just kind of what I thought. It was just like, it felt very like even pre 2015. It's just like, none of these jokes really land anymore because just like the political world we live in is just so out there. Like, even between the living room and here, I was just like scrolling Twitter and I saw a tweet from Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the former press secretary, making fun of Joe Biden's stutter. Like, what?
Wow.
Like, and so it's those kind of things. It's just like, you watch a show like Veep and it's just like, well, what the fuck do we do now? Do we just like do we just have them nuke everything? Like, how do we make this satirical?
This is why I watch superhero
good
movies,
point.
because those aren't true things, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yikes. Yeah, I definitely feel like when this show started, you know, it had a very different flavor.
Yeah, which was
than
2012.
Watching it now.
Mhm.
And maybe that's why the finale is even so much more off the rails than the pilot, because in this time you have to say more shocking things to try to be more shocking than real life. You have to really go pretty far.
everyone did a really good job acting in this show.
That is true. I loved Tony Hale in this. It's like, damn, I would like to see more stuff. When he was like actually serious at the end there at her like grave, I was like, you make me feel feelings, Tony.
Because this horrible president is dead.
Yeah, and all these people still showed up for the funeral. It was kind of interesting.
Even like people like, well, that one guy who she like ruined his like candidacy by like having the girl from Better Call Saul like call out his like sexual misconduct kind of thing.
Yeah.
Even though it seemed like when Veep or what's her name? Julia Dreyfus, Elaine. When she was like talking to Rhea Seehorn, it was like, no, there wasn't, in my mind, there, like from what I gathered, there wasn't implication as if like Rhea Seehorn was like didn't like or like wasn't like was mad about any of that stuff. But she was like, hey, you can call him out and you're gonna fuck him over and you'll be great. Like they're even using like weird stuff that's happening now is like, maybe people are even that bad and they're lying or like pretending like things are bad.
Yeah, it all just felt like maybe a little gross, but like in general, I don't really get grossed out much. But I think just that the satire doesn't land anymore.
Yeah.
Really hard to do. Like does The Onion still exist?
No, because there's
totally.
a subreddit just called Not the Onion, which is just real life headlines that are just what the Onion put out 10 years ago, you know? But it's shit that's real. And they're like, they're like, that's the thing. It's like, this isn't the Onion. Can you believe that this headline's not the Onion?
Yikes. I want to check that Reddit out, but The Onion does still exist and it's still great.
still good. Still good. Barely good.
Yeah, I mean, you know.
Yeah.
I had a great time. You guys, it's very cynical. I might watch this, but for the couple days that I have HBO still.
How about this? This is one thing from Not the Onion in the dystopian society that we live in right now, which is apparently just the Veep's world. It says, impeachment is so boring, quote, you wish for a nice school shooting, end quote, says Denver radio host.
Holy shit.
Wow.
That's a real thing that happened today.
Colorado. That's like where Columbine happened, right? Is in Colorado?
Yeah, that's where
Columbine is.
Where school shootings
That's like
were created.
Yikes.
And that was
Get it
tasteless
together,
joke.
Denver.
That was not a good joke that I made.
And that they wouldn't even go that far on Veep. I don't even think they would make a joke that bad.
They wouldn't make a school shooting joke in Veep.
Yeah.
No, they wouldn't.
Mostly just about vaginas and penises.
I had a thought just now that
It was all like dirty sex stuff. Most
Some
of
boob
it.
stuff.
so like Veep started out as a satire, and now like satire doesn't land because it's all just like crazier than fiction. So, but I wonder, like Jimmy, as someone who loves The West Wing, has your thought on The West Wing? Does the way that you view The West Wing change now that like we have just like a lunatic president? Like,
it's really hard to watch.
Like it makes you sad to watch it.
It makes me sad to watch it because in it, the characters, they have some of this like behind the scenes, like shit gets real, and you make mistakes and stuff. But like at the end of the day, they like love the country and they love
Sure.
the Constitution and like the founding fathers. And
See, I think you could take West Wing as is, because it's very earnest about those things, about service to the country and patriotism and helping other people and stuff like that. I think you add a laugh track to the West Wing, and I think that serves as like a very cynical like satire, like wouldn't it be hilarious if the president cared about the country?
just treat it
I'm gonna add some YouTube vids of just West Wing with a laugh track.
I got one for you. There's one whole thing where Toby, who's like the head like speechwriter, goes off about how he thinks like the Constitution is like one of the like single best written things in that exists.
Add a studio
just
audience
add
to
a
that.
laugh track to that. and oh man.
Well,
and some impeachment quotes.
We're going for gasps in 2019.
Oh man. Yeah, well, we got them.
Other thoughts about this episode in TV? I feel like it's a good show, and it probably was really good for what it is. But it's like, for me, it just doesn't land in our climate, and it's like a little too close to being real. And it's like, it's not funny because I think this is what we fucking live in.
Yeah,
and this is not okay.
That makes it hard.
And it makes me think, shit, is this really what they talk about when we're not, like, no one can hear or see them?
And I don't even think that that's a political thing. Like, I don't think that we're saying it's not funny because like we just don't like the president or something. I think even if you like the president, you watch this show and you're just sort of like, yeah, I mean, is there a joke here? I don't get it.
I just don't. I mean, I mean, political leanings and bias completely aside, what you think is right or wrong, or what you want, like conservative and liberal, who gives a shit? Like, it makes me worried that everybody. It made me be like, God, everyone behind the scenes is just like, you know, I'm a career politician. I want to stay in power. I'm not trying to do what my constituents want. And that's what they were all doing in the show. And it's like, you're supposed to like do what the best for the people that you're like representing is. That's what your job is. And the show, as a satire, did a good job of being like, maybe they're not, but just with today, it's like, God, really? But are they doing this though? Is this what is happening? Burn this country to the ground. That's what's happening. Oh, I'm terrified. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight. This show gave me nightmares.
I mean, in all fairness, like this whole episode, this was not people actually working in government. I mean, they work in government, but this is their candidate race, so it's not like they're supposed to be working on some heavy hitting issues, and I mean they probably were.
But the whole point was that someone was essentially doing anything possible, no matter what the cost, to become the most powerful person in the world.
That's true. Essentially.
So they're not working on something now, but based on their actions to get to the point where they can work on something, we're doomed.
Yeah. I mean, and at least so Selena had like her caveat of like, look, I told the dude that I was gonna ban gay marriage, but like federally, like we're never gonna do that.
But you know, they said at the end she did do that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
They explicitly said that she completely banned it.
That's right.
They did. I thought they were trying to do it a little bit at some points, like that. She was doing all this stuff to get what she wanted, and she was like kind of like stepping back like for a couple seconds at a time, like 3 or 4 times during this episode, where it seemed like she was like, fuck this, I like need to stop, like, or like, is what am I doing okay? But then she just kept plowing forward. Like it's like humanity leaked into her for a second, and she was like, oh, is this okay? And then she kept going. So I thought I saw those bits, and I liked that.
Yeah, there was kind of a turning point when Ben had his heart attack, and then he's like, I'm done after this, and she's like, I need you, and he's like, no, you don't, and then she's like, no, I don't. And then she just plowed through every single possible thing.
I mean, that was definitely an interesting choice for them to do, like, because it seemed at some point like she was going to maybe even like quit, like when she gave her speech.
She was begging Tom, Dr. House, Hugh Laurie, to like be anything on his cabinet, and 5 minutes later, totally screwed him over.
Well, I'm scared for our future.
I might watch this show.
I'm going to run for president.
I'll vote.
It's never too late.
Vote Joe. Vote Lava Joe.
We've
What is it?
We've got the power of our listeners and the oil lobby. I think we can make it happen.
Vote Joe. His Veep is big oil.
It's just giant oil monster.
Yikes.
Just something
Secretary
that was
of Agriculture is Siri. Alexa's in there somewhere.
I'm terrified.
Education.
Bryan Cranston for chief of staff.
Ooh.
Male Transit Commissioner says
I've
foul.
watched that.
Male Transit Commissioner says foul stench at Parliament Station is a quote gender equality thing, not The Onion. I'm afraid for our survival.
Yikes.
Joe, what's your predictions?
I had Selena as a former president, so true, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Point. I have Seinfeld actor cameo, and I don't think it recognized anybody.
I did not see anybody.
I have at least one punch, and there was a slap.
Not a punch.
A lot of yelling, but no punches. And then number 4, Tom Hanks is dead, and
Can't
Nailed
believe it.
and like right at the end,
That was good.
during Selena Kyle's funeral, was Tom Hanks's death was announced.
That was a good bit.
It was good. Good job, Joe.
And Mike became Mike. They did a whole thing with him. I liked how they did that. He was like a campaign like media journalist, and then at the end he was on some network
Like an
and
anchor for like world
was
news.
an anchor. Yeah, and he's covering the funeral, and then he's like, and I would be remiss if I didn't say something because I worked with her for forever, blah blah blah. And then he's about to like go into his thing. And he's like, "This just in, Tom Hanks dies." Too much rejoicing from Joe.
Perfect callback. Perfect callback.
Well
from
done.
Episode 1. Mine where Andy and Dan are kissing. They are not. They do not seem like they're happy with each other at all. Gary wears a costume. He did not wear a costume. We never see the POTUS. Well, like we didn't see that. We never saw the current president.
Yeah.
So is that kind of like she was a president, but wasn't the current president? So I don't know.
I think it's a point, but I think you should feel bad about it.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Because she became president and we saw
Well,
her.
and because what you meant
Oh
was
no! Well, we did see the. I guess we did see the president because she was.
I
The
guess
POTUS.
I thought you meant we would never see.
I didn't mean her when I said that POTUS. I just assumed she was never because I assumed she was never POTUS ever. So I assume we never saw like the president she worked for kind of thing or any president.
Which I don't think we did.
Yeah. That is what I meant.
Sure.
Which then brings me because my last one was because I also then thought Selena never became president.
Uh-huh.
But when we started, she had already been president and then also became president.
So much was she the president.
I'm going to take my point because that's not the worst thing that has happened to people tonight.
Yeah. You got it.
Or democracy. I had Selena as president.
Multiple times.
A+. I can't believe Joe and I both got that. And then I had Amy and Jonah are together. Jonah's with some crazy lady. Amy was his
Campaign manager.
That's right. I had that Veep that Selena had some sort of opposite party person on her cabinet. I don't think that's true. So are we thinking she's like a Republican? I don't know. Maybe they'd never say parties in this.
I mean, I don't.
But, like,
they never said
That
parties.
she was doing deals with like the Oklahoma guy.
It
and
seems
stuff.
like the kind of people she was doing deals with made me feel like she was probably technically supposed to be Republican, but
Yeah.
I feel
Maybe
like
they
I don't know. I
specifically
think either side of the aisle is equally as evil when it comes to the potential that they were trying to make them mix up with kind
Yeah,
of thing. So
sure.
I could have been anybody.
Yeah, I feel like they were purposely ambiguous about that.
So
Yeah, smart.
some things led Republican,
Okay.
some things were led Democrat. So,
So
who knows?
we didn't actually like see her cabinet once she became president. And then I said I thought Gary was going to be a member of Congress or some elected member of something.
I think Gary went to jail for
I'm
a very
pretty sure
long
he
time.
probably went to jail. Not
Yeah.
sure what that's about. I kind of want to watch and just follow the Gary plot line. So 1 point for me.
Way to go.
Thanks.
Good showing.
Yeah. Good times.
Good times. Hey, everybody listening. Thanks for watching or listening. If you were staring at your phone while it was like the screen was off and you were listening to it the whole time, I guess thanks for doing that too.
Yeah.
Be afraid of the future for this country. Watch this show if you want to be more afraid, I think. Use your power and vote in the 2020
Hold people
election.
accountable. Don't vote for anyone shitty.
Just because they might have good ideas doesn't necessarily mean that moral ambiguity is an okay thing.
yeah. You can be a good person, it turns out.
Yeah. If they sometimes meaning well is good enough to be in charge.
You vote for someone whose slogan's just like, I promise to not be shitty.
Like,
and I will try real hard.
I like all people and
Yeah,
I
I
will
would vote for
try
that
hard. Vote for that person.
Yeah.
And just do your research. But thank you for listening. I can't watch this show. I can't watch this show right now.
Cannot endorse it.
Maybe in 3 or 4 years I can come back to it.
I think so, yeah. With some time.
Yeah. Hopefully, like 1 year, right?
Maybe it's just because the next year is the most politically charged year.
I might just take November
Maybe
off.
just too
of
much
work
politics
next year.
going on.
Yeah, too much politics. This is a very politics heavy
Just
show.
travel.
Yeah.
It's worrisome.
Let's just start a politics pod.
If you
World
have
needs more of those.
comments on all the things we said tonight, want to do show suggestions or some other things, you can hit us up at F&L Podcast on the Gmail, on the Twitter, and other things. Thank you and good night.